Dear students, welcome back to the new topic. Uh, if you have not gone through the development of the external ear, don't even try to watch this topic because ये बहुत difficult रहने वाला है. ठीक है, this is the next level of external ear development. Now we will go into the embryology of the middle ear. ठीक है, so if you are confident about the basic embryology, what are the pouches, what are the arches, mesoderm, ectoderm, endoderm, okay, then only please start this topic. Otherwise please go back to the embryology of the external ear and then you can continue with this topic. Okay, now assuming that you already gone through the external ear, we will go ahead with the development of the middle ear. Now when it comes to middle ear, there are a lot of structures. Outer ear, external ear was very easy. There was only the pinna and the ear canal. But now here there are lot of other components. Okay, ये unfortunately क्या है कि actually we should have studied anatomy in detail first and then we would have gone into embryology. That is the right way of, I think, studying this. But यहाँ पे the syllabus is structured in such a way that first you have to understand embryology. Now to understand embryology you have to understand anatomy. ठीक है, so middle ear anatomy is one of the complex things to understand, but what we will do, we will go into only the main and important parts of the middle ear. Okay, so इसमें हम ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे, but please pay attention, okay, because we will be understanding development of each and every part from this diagram only in the upcoming slide. So mainly जो middle ear starts is from the tympanic membrane. Okay, so tympanic membrane जिसको हम कान का पर्दा कहेंगे, so this is a tympanic membrane. Okay, and the other main important part is the ossicles, the bones. There are three bones. One is this one, you can see, this is Malleus, this is Incus, and this is Stapes. Right now we don't have to go into the details of the each and every part of the bones or how it works, वो अभी नहीं उसमें जाना है हमें. We just have to know the names, right? So first is tympanic membrane, that is the lateral most part of the tympanic cavity or the middle ear. Then comes the three bones which are attached to each other. Then there are also some ligaments are there. Right now we will call them stabilizing ligaments. We will not go in naming them. Okay, उसी के साथ there is something called as a auditory tube. Okay, this is auditory tube which connects the nasopharynx and the ear. This is also called as Eustachian tube. और यहाँ पे दूसरा नाम दिया है pharyngotympanic tube. Okay, for the pharynx and tympanic cavity connect करने वाला tube, that is auditory tube. Along with that there are also two muscles. Now this view is more of a, this is frontal view. Okay, and this is from the side, like you are looking from the inner ear side. Okay, from medial to lateral, how you will see is this view. Okay, so इसमें you will also see the muscles are there. The stapedius muscle is there, which is connected to the stapes muscle. Okay, and also there is a big long, this one, tensor tympanic muscle. Okay, now we will shortly revise which all our parts are there. One is the tympanic membrane. Let's revise quickly. Tympanic membrane, you understood. Then comes the 1, 2, 3 bones, then some ligaments. Okay, then there is auditory tube or Eustachian tube or pharyngotympanic tube. Okay, and there are muscles like a stapedius muscle and tensor tympanic muscle. If you see properly, the structure of the middle cavity is not really in the level of a tympanic membrane, so it also extends above the tympanic membrane. Okay, why? Then it is called as, this area is called as epitympanic recess. Okay, we will discuss those in detail. I hope this basic anatomy is understood. What are the parts? क्योंकि हमें ये देखना है बाद में कि which part is developed from which pharyngeal arch or how the embryology of the every part is. Okay, I hope this is clear. If not, you can again go back, understand tympanic membrane, 3 bones, ligaments, 2 important muscles, and auditory tube, Eustachian tube. Okay, now let's go one by one and understand how things are working. Before that, a quick revision of the embryology from the last class. Okay, we have already studied this. There are the pharyngeal arches, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth is not there, 6 directly. Okay, now here we also know that ectoderm is there, which is the this is endoderm, which is the innermost part, the yellow one. Mesoderm is the middle one, the brown part, and the ectoderm is the blue part. Okay, and the inside depressions, it's called as cleft, while when it is I'm really sorry, the outside depressions are cleft, but inside is called as pouches. They are called pouches. So this is like first pouch, second pouch. Okay, there are pouches are there. Also there are these openings of, this is maybe for artery, this can be for vein, this can be for cartilage or nerves. Okay, so also understand that there are pouches, and also every pouch has its own cartilages, because this will be important in the future. Okay, so quick revision, there are pharyngeal arches. Arches have these 3 layers. Okay, and the innermost are also called as pouches. Okay, now again we will go a quick revision in the formation of the pouches. Okay, so for all this future explanation, what I thought, I have got this nice clips from a YouTube video. Okay, the only thing is I have arranged in a way that we understand very easily. Okay, so very nicely I have explained. This is the best we can get right now. We will go through all this video one by one and then understand. Okay, so these are nothing but the formation of the this is arches, and this is the yellow one thing you can see is the endoderm part. Okay, this is called GI tract, gastrointestinal, and the first one you can see the cochlea, the inner ear right now, which is hanging there. For us, the most important part is right now to study is the first pharyngeal arch, this one. Okay, so we will be studying that. Just for understanding purpose, we have made a simplified version of the pharyngeal arch. Okay, what you saw, I'll just go back to this once again. Okay, why it is going here again. Okay, I cannot touch this. Okay, so these are pharyngeal pouches. Okay, the first pharyngeal pouch, second pharyngeal pouch, these are endoderm in nature. So any organ which develops from these pharyngeal pouches will be, we can say it is come from the endoderm. Now just for our simple understanding, we will be talking only about, see, that's the first pharyngeal arch. This is a simplified version of it. It doesn't look actually like that, but for an easy understanding we have made it like this. Okay, now we will see what happens in with this first pharyngeal pouches. Right now you can see there is a inner ear is already developed. It's just hanging inside. It is not connected to outside. In the previous unit we saw that there is a canal which is coming out. Okay, but still there is this gap in between, which will be formed by the middle ear. How it will be done, we will see in the next slide. Yeah,
it didn't almost touch the internal ear or the cochlea, so it is not enough to transmit the sound waves to the cochlea. So how the sound waves then will be transmitted to the cochlea? To fill this gap, this first pharyngeal pouch will render its services here. It will say, okay, don't worry, I am here. It will say that I will extend up to here to form another cavity here. Let me show you the animation and then it will become very clear. And by the way, as this first pharyngeal pouch, it begins to extend towards here. This extension, this first pharyngeal pouch, which will form the extension, this extension is now called as tubo-tympanic recess. Tubo means there is a tube and tympanic means related with ear. So what we call as, it forms the tubo-tympanic recess. I hope the spelling of recess are correct. So anyhow, so tubo-tympanic recess. Now what will happen that, let's watch the animation and then I will explain these things to you. So here you can see that this extension from this tubo-tympanic recess, it went closer to this internal ear, and then this distal end, it dilated to form a cavity, and this cavity is the primordium of middle ear cavity. And
Okay, so I think this was very easy to understand this animation thanks to the YouTube channel. So how the tubo-tympanic recesses develop? It is just basically from the first pouch there is extension and the distal part becomes the part of the tympanic cavity. Okay. Then what happens to proximal part? What is this? This becomes an auditory tube. Auditory tube, or we call it as also Eustachian tube. Okay. This connects the nasal cavity with the tympanic membrane or tympanic cavity. Okay, this is how the formation of a tubo-tympanic recess. Now
it didn't almost touch the internal.
Okay, now the recess is formed. Okay, that cavity is created, but the bones are not yet created. Now we will see how the bones are formed. I have also spoken about the cartilages part, you remember? So these pouches also have cartilages. Okay, now from the first pouch and the second pouch from the cartilage part, the bones are created. How? We will see that.
Ossicle bones. I will just tell you how do they work, but before that, let me tell you that how they are formed. How these ossicles develop, we have the pharyngeal cartilages. Each pharyngeal arch has a cartilage, and these cartilage, they are formed from the neural crest cells. We have discussed these things previously in the lecture of pharyngeal arches. Now the pharyngeal arch cartilage of the first arch and second arch, they form these middle ear bones or ossicles. So you see, from the first pharyngeal arch cartilage, the first middle ear bone, which is called Malleus, this is the Malleus and this is the Incus. So Malleus and Incus, they develop from the first pharyngeal arch cartilage, while the third bone, that is called Stapes, it develops from the second pharyngeal arch cartilage. And later we will see that there are some associated muscles as well with these ossicles that also develop from the first and second pharyngeal arch cartilage.
Okay, so the first pharyngeal arch cartilage develops into Malleus and Incus. Second, I'm sorry, I said actually pouches before. It's not pouches, it's a pharyngeal arch cartilages. And second pharyngeal arch cartilage develops into Incus. Okay.
Ossicle bones. I will just tell you how do they work, but before that, let me tell you that how they are formed. How these ossicles develop. We have the.
Sorry, this is just repeated. Sometimes I have purposely taken out that we are not spoken about the very fine details of, like, there are cartilage and what is the name of the cartilage. I have purposely not going into that. Please refer to the notes for that, okay? Because right now I don't want you to go into the, like, stuck in terminologies. What's important is more to understand the concept, okay? Now what has happened is the epitympanic recess we saw, that was one theory. The epitympanic recess, how it is formed, that we will see now. Okay, now cartilages are formed, but the problem is the cartilages are still above the tympanic cavity. Now how they are included inside tympanic cavity, we will see.
Basic tympanic, pharyngotympanic tube here, and these are the ossicles. Now basically you can see that ossicles, they are lying above the middle ear cavity. They are lying on the top of tympanic cavity. They are not inside the tympanic cavity. They should be ideally inside the tympanic cavity. So how can we send them inside the tympanic cavity? Again, here the nature has been very kind to us, and it has provided a beautiful mechanism for this. And what is that? That this tympanic, this top end, the cranial end of this tympanic cavity, it will extend upward. And what will happen, here I have removed the anterior wall to make you understand. So it will extend upward, and it will sort of engulf these bones like this, right? So as it has engulfed these bones, what will happen, that ultimately this most of it will be lost, and some part of it will be forming the coverings of these bones. So you see, these bones are internally lined by this epithelial layer. So this epithelial layer will be formed. Along with that, some ligaments that keep these bones within these bones, almost they allow slight movement within this tympanic cavity, but somehow they keep them fixed in position within the tympanic cavity. And by the way, this upper part that forms by the extension, this upper part of tympanic cavity, it is called epitympanic recess. It is called epitympanic. Epi means above. Recess is sort of, you can say, an extension. So it is extension of tympanic cavity which is above the original primordial tympanic cavity. Original primordial tympanic cavity was somewhat here. So it is an extension that is above it. So epitympanic recess.
Okay. So previously what we saw, the development of this part, okay, the embryology of this part, this is called as tubotympanic. Please don't get confused with two terms. One is tubo, so this is tubotympanic. Okay, now the extension of that tubotympanic is called as epitympanic recess. Okay, this is above tubotympanic. Okay, now as I already mentioned here, this is version 1. This has been the regular explanation of how this epitympanic recess is created. But now newly there is another version of how epitympanic recess is created. Your notes may have one of the two versions. Anything is fine. Both are right. Okay. So we will also go through the version 2 of how this epitympanic recess is formed. Okay.
Basic tympanic, pharyngotympanic. So one of the mechanism that I have already told you about the formation of epitympanic recess is that it extends upward and mesentery-like process is found. But some of the textbooks, they mention a relatively newly discovered mechanism, and again it is a hypothesis. We are again not 100% sure. And this mechanism is that this roof of primordial tympanic cavity, it is lost. This roof is lost, and what will happen, that all around there is mesenchyme. It is surrounded by mesenchyme, the mesenchyme that arises from the neural crest cells. So what will happen, that mesenchyme will surround it, and this mesenchyme will form the covering ligaments as well as the epitympanic recess, the new part of the tympanic cavity, which is epitympanic recess. Its wall will be created by this mesenchyme. And one of the important evidence that this hypothesis is true is that the air is filled with this mesenchyme even up to 2 years of age of the baby, up to 2 years after birth, 2 years after birth of the baby. the ear, the middle ear cavity is somewhat filled with this mesenchyme, and this does not allow a full movement of the ossicles, and ultimately, of course, this mesenchyme is lost. So in a nutshell, there are two plausible mechanisms of formation of epitympanic recess. One is simple, that there is upward extension of the primordial tympanic cavity, and other is that roof of primordial tympanic cavity is lost and epitympanic recess and other related structures, the coverings of these ossicles and ligaments and walls of epitympanic recess, it is formed by the mesenchyme, and of course mesenchyme is also filling this tympanic cavity.
And this is very clear. One version says that it's just an extension of the tubotympanic recess. Another version says no, there is another formation of a mesenchyme. The mesenchyme is responsible for creating the ligaments and other structures, and then it includes the whole tympanic cavity, and that creates the epitympanic recess. Okay, this is the version 1, very easy to understand. You can write any of these two, but we will see about the notes one, which all the two being included. But right now, just understand the concepts. Okay, and why it is important is because after even till the age of 2, they found that there is a mesenchyme in the child's ear, middle ear. Then the question came from where it came. So possible explanation is it is there since birth. This is how it is formed. So this is about the epitympanic recess version 1 and version 2. Now we will.
So one of the mechanisms,
how the mastoid air cells are formed. What is a mastoid air cell? Nothing but there are you can say a web of air, like balloon like structures inside our skull. Okay, so these are like mastoid air cells. Okay, so we will see how it's just simple extension actually.
Posterior wall and extension develops, and this extension forms these mastoid air cells. Basically, the mastoid air cells, it is just a connection of, it is a interconnected network of cavities within the bone of mastoid bone. Within the mastoid bone, there are these interconnected cavities, a collection of interconnected cavities. These are called mastoid air cells, and these are internally lined by this extension of tympanic cavity. And here is this opening called antrum, mastoid antrum. It is opening in that tubotympanic recess. Epitympanic recess. It is the opening in the epitympanic recess.
So this is one of the anatomical structures, but still it is not very clear what is the function of the mastoid air cells. So now we will see how the middle ear muscles are getting developed. Mainly there are two muscles. One is stapedius muscle, and there is tensor tympani muscle. These muscles are actually responsible for saving the inner ear from very loud sounds. Okay, how it is that work, that we will see in the physiology part. Right now we will see where are those muscles and from which part of the pharyngeal arches they are developed.
Then finally some muscles they also develop. For example, here the stapes, it is connected to the posterior wall of the tympanic cavity through this muscle called stapedius, and here is the tensor tympani. Actually there is another canal here. Above the pharyngotympanic tube there is a canal, and this canal is called canal for tensor tympani muscle. This is the tensor tympani muscle. This canal, within this canal, this muscle is there, and again I'm not sure that how this canal develops, but again one of the hypotheses is that there is that interior wall, and from the interior wall again a finger-like extension will form, and this extension will canalize to form this canal. Because I'm not really sure about the exact mechanism, so I didn't made the animation of this. So anyhow, there is this muscle called tensor tympani muscle, and this muscle, it sort of, you can see it tilts medially as it goes backward. This is the interior, and as it goes backward, here there is a hook-like process called process cochleaformis. This is called process cochleaformis, and this it tilts the, it rotates the tensor tympani muscle, and finally it is attached to the Malleus, handle of Malleus, this long process or handle of Malleus. It is attached to long process or handle of Malleus. Now, function of both of these muscles, by the way, this tensor tympani muscle, it originates from the first pharyngeal arch, while the stapedius muscle, it originates from the second pharyngeal arch.
Okay, so for us the important part is to understand is this muscle. This will come from the first pharyngeal arch, and over here the stapedius will come from the second pharyngeal arch. Okay, so that's about the middle ear muscles. And then we have the most important part is the tympanic membrane. I think tympanic membrane is one of the very rare organ to develop because it is developed from all types of layer, that is endoderm, mesoderm and ectoderm. Okay, how we will see that.
One important thing that I forgot to mention, what about the tympanic membrane? Tympanic membrane has 3 layers and they are formed by the innermost layer. You can see innermost layer is formed by this pharyngeal cleft. So you see there is that finger like extension of dorsal end of first pharyngeal cleft that went inward to form the external auditory meatus. So its epithelium will contribute to the tympanic cavity. The other contribution is by this wall, the tympanic cavity wall, right, and which is derived from the endoderm. You see the pharynx, the tubotympanic recess. The tubotympanic recess is endodermal in origin. So we have endoderm that contributes, and here this is the ectoderm. So we have ectoderm. So ectoderm, endoderm, and then between them we have some mesenchyme here. So we have ectodermal component, we have endodermal component, and we have mesodermal component. All 3 components, they contribute towards the formation of tympanic membrane. This is the tympanic membrane.
Okay, I think this was quite easy to understand. The tympanic membrane, which is formed from all 3 types of layers together.
It's one important thing.
Okay, so in a summary, so we studied right now. Okay, so tympanic cavity first we studied, which is coming from the first pharyngeal pouch, that is endoderm. Okay, Eustachian tube is something, it's a elongated part which is connected centrally. This is also coming from first pharyngeal pouch. Then we saw the Malleus and Incus, the green bones, that is actually coming from first pharyngeal arch, it is mesenchyme. While the Stapes, which we saw in the pink color, that is actually Stapes coming from the second pharyngeal arch. Tympanic membrane just now we saw was coming from all the 3 layers together. And in the muscle, tensor tympani, the longest muscle we saw, that is come from the first pharyngeal arch, and the Stapes muscle is coming actually from the second pharyngeal arch. I hope this is clear and easy. This is the simplest I could put. Okay, now in your notes maybe little more information will be there. Okay, this is just to get an idea. There can be more names and terminology in your notes. Please go through it. Okay, and just last one important point just will cover is that the cavitation and pneumatization. So it is not like one structure is getting formed. Okay, there are also some other processes that also are happening in the tympanic cavity. One is mesenchymal process phase. So what is happening in this is the middle ear initially is filled with the mesenchyme. So let's see, this is tympanic membrane, and take this as a middle ear hole. We will not be drawing everything, and this is the auditory tube. Now initially it will be filled with the mesenchyme. Okay, then comes the cavitation process. Then this mesenchyme is reabsorbed. I'm sorry, I have lost the whole thing. Okay, it is reabsorption of the mesenchyme. This is tympanic membrane and it's auditory tube. Okay, and transform into air-filled spaces. Now there will be more of air-filled spaces, or air particles. Pneumatization is of development of the air cells, okay, particularly the mastoid, that is which is connected here on the back, right? So here air cells are developed, and then the postnatal, after the birth there will be continuation of the process. The process of the birth continues, and then the pressure regulation is this Eustachian tube maintains the air pressure in the middle ear. How it maintains, that we will see. But right now in the process we have three things: mesenchymal phase, cavitization process, and then the pneumatization process, and then obviously the postnatal development is after the birth. Okay. So clinically we have some conditions: ossicular malformations, maybe improper ossicle are formed, so any kind of a defect in first and second arch. Otitis media with effusion. Otitis media is kind of middle ear infection, you can say. It's a delayed because of the delayed middle ear cavitation, and congenital cholesteatoma. From birth there can be problem in the middle ear. What is cholesteatoma? We will see in middle disorders. Ectodermal remnant inclusions, not required right now. These are disorders, don't remember. This is just I have given you idea to understand what is the importance of this studying this. Okay. So that's it. I hope the topic is very clear for you. If not, please go through it. If you have any doubt, feel free to fill the form, give the feedback. See you in the next lesson.